Good morning, everybody. This is Greg Sabala from National Brokerage. I'm joined here today with Mike Toy, and I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to join our Social Media 101. This is the first social media webcast of probably many that we're going to be doing. So we're happy that you guys all joined and greatly appreciate you taking time out of your day. Real quickly, just an introduction about National Brokerage for those of you that are a newer audience to what National Brokerage is bringing to the table. Gosh, I've been here for about 22 years. We've been around since 1996. Long story short, we've grown a great deal from being a typical brokerage firm to having a great deal of technological advances and platform abilities that other brokerages don't have. We've never lost sight of the one-on-one relationship, however. We do value having a marketing rep singularly attached to a person that's such as yourselves as an agent out there in the field, and also a single case manager as well for you. So you get to know your case manager, you get to know your marketing rep, and get comfort and also get into synergies with, not only the way you're marketing with your marketing rep, but also with the case management as well. We want you to feel comfortable with the processes, and we want you to know you have two good advocates in the office at all time to help you out, whether it be case management or marketing for the next sale as well. Areas that we're going to be covering today is, first and foremost, what is social media? Examples of what each one is used for. Three main reasons for social media would be, ranging from informational to you're trying to generate some sales, or even an online business card. One thing I would truly say is it's an investment in your future. You may or may not get immediate returns to social media, but there's no doubt that there's a value to it, and you never know to whom's actually looking you up and when you're going to have an opportunity substantiated or possibly lost by what you do or do not have out there in the web right now. So it's definitely a great value. Mike Toy is going to be going through a great deal of details, but again, it's an investment in your future. And I know I've heard from some agents, well, gosh, I don't have the time to do it. It doesn't take an immense amount of time, but it's truly something I think we all need to do a better job of. If we're going to be in this industry going forward, it's definitely an investment in your future. Why is it far more important than you might think? Kind of what I've already hit upon. But one of the big things is, how do you deal with negative online reviews? You may not know they exist if you haven't gone online much, but two, there's ways to address that and ways not to. How many reviews have you received? Do you even know, what kind of traffic's out there about you? Mike will be hitting on some different ways to reply and not to reply in that regard. And also just a quick how to start, basic quick start list of how do you get the ball rolling and how do you join into the social media, if you will, and capitalizing on basically free advertising. So with that, I will hand it over to Mike Toy.
Thanks, Greg. Hi, everybody. Mike Toy here. So just to pick up where Greg left off there, I'm going to be talking about some of the basics of social media. We're not going to do a deep dive into any one particular platform over another. I just want to give you a general overview of what exactly it even is. What does the term mean? What does each platform do in a nutshell? Because they're obviously not all the same. They don't all serve the same purpose. So just want to give you a good idea of what each one does, and that way, if you're new to social media and you're just starting off, you're not sure where to start, you can pick and see, well, this is really the message I want to put out there, so I think this is the best platform for me, or maybe that platform is, or whatnot. So I'm going to start here. So what exactly is social media? It means a lot of things, kind of an ambiguous term, but in a nutshell, they are online platforms that enable users, such as yourself or us, to create and share content, pictures, blogs, videos, flyers, whatever it is, and you can share that content to your network. It's a good way to also build your network because there are other people like you out there doing similar things, maybe a little different. You can share ideas, borrow some of theirs, they can borrow some of yours. It's a good way to get your message out to your audience, who in this case would be your clients. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide here. All right, so excuse me. So some must-haves versus some should-haves. And again, this is just to give you an idea. So if you're kind of new to social media, or if you don't have a huge following so far, this is where you can start. Number one thing you got to have in social media, and even if you don't like social media, is Facebook. You don't have to spend all day on there looking at pictures of cats and everything else in the world, but you have to at least have one, because even if you hate Facebook, and a lot of people do, the rest of the world has Facebook, and they are going to look you up. So when you are trying to either gain new clients or gain credibility with existing clients, people are going to look you up. And when they Google you online or search for you in whatever way, usually Facebook is one of the first ones that pops up at the top of the list, even if you don't have one. That's just how the internet works. They're going to click on that. It's going to go to some page and say, XYZ agency does not have one yet. And that's what they're going to see if you don't have one. So Facebook is a must. One thing to keep in mind with Facebook and the rest of them, for those of you who don't want to spend a lot of time on Facebook or think it's, a silly thing to do, I would just remind you, you control the content that's on there. You don't have to put everything that Facebook recommends that you put, because it's going to recommend that you do this and that, and add a video, and here, do this, fill out a little piece here. You don't have to do all that. If you want to, you can keep it basic. Put your company logo as your profile pic. Put a picture of your office as your cover picture, something like that. Put a short bio, at least, a short bio, and put your contact information, and maybe a little quick message, something like that. I mean, you can keep it really basic. If you want to, you can continually post flyers if you like, just a reminder that you control that situation. So you don't have to do anything. You can keep it basic if you like. So Facebook is a must. Got to have one, and they're free. So no reason not to do it. LinkedIn. LinkedIn is also a must in our industry, because LinkedIn is, unlike Facebook, it's not a place where you're going to go on there and socialize. It's more like, the best way I could put it is like an online resume, even if you're not looking for a job. It's just a snapshot profile of you as a professional. It's not where you would post pictures of your family and that type of thing. It's a bio of your professional background, what you bring to the table in whatever industry you're in, and it shows some of your connections, which, again, you can choose to keep that part private or make it public. That's up to you. But LinkedIn is a must-have, because unlike when your clients are searching for you, if your colleagues are searching for you, or maybe you're looking to move up in the world, that's where they're going to look, is LinkedIn. So if you don't have one, that is, I hate to say it, but that's making a statement in itself too. That's saying this person doesn't have a LinkedIn. How connected can they possibly be if they don't even have a LinkedIn page? So if you don't have one, definitely get one. You don't have to spend all day on it. Just make a basic bio, and that way you are controlling the information that is out there about you. Going on to the next slide here. These are some should-haves, I would say. They're not a must. You can survive without them, but they're a should-have. And the number one should-have on there is YouTube. YouTube it's hard for some people because they're not comfortable making videos of themselves and putting it out there. But you don't have to do that. You can just use other people's videos if you like and put it on your YouTube page. But it's a should have, because unlike the written word, the spoken word goes farther. It has more of an emotional impact, and it can convey some of the nuances that a flyer can't convey. And also, like the others, it helps you control the message that you want to have out there. Let's say you've got a particular topic that you specialize in. Maybe you specialize in buy-sell agreements. That's just your niche. That's what you do. People don't understand them, even if they're not that complicated. With a YouTube video, you can make a short 1 or 2 or 3 minute video explaining it the way you would want to explain it, and then you can send that link to whomever you want. Or you can post that link on your Facebook page. So when someone says, hey, what exactly do you do again? Oh, go to my Facebook page. There's a video right there. Explains the whole thing. Oh, okay, great. That's why you would want to use something like that. Instagram. Instagram I'm going to put an asterisk next to that. You, you don't have to have it, but here's the purpose that it serves. Instagram is a lot more picture focused. So there's not going to be a lot of text. There's not going to be a lot of that type of thing. So it helps soften up your image a little bit. It gives a more personal touch to your agency or you as an agent or your business. So again, I would just remind you, you don't have to post a whole lot, but you put a few pictures out there. It helps humanize you a little bit, because there are some people who they only care about the facts. They want to check you out on LinkedIn, make sure that you are legit, and that's all they need. Other people have to know that you are approachable, that your team is likable and approachable. So you post a picture of yourself and your team in some outing or, smiling, something like that. It helps humanize who you are and who your agency is a little bit. It makes people more comfortable with talking to you. So that's the gist of the must-have versus the should-have. I'm going to turn it back to Greg here.
Very good. Well, I'm going to jump over to the three main uses of social media. Without knowing which of the three you want to be, your point really can be missed. So the three that we're hitting upon is, of course, sales. To simply provide a place to either generate or process sales. For all these different, whether you're doing Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, you might want to singularly focus on driving that traffic to a singular site. So if you have a website you're trying to drive people to or what have you, what are they going to see when they get to that website, when they actually have a tangible quote engine, for example, if you're writing life insurance? What will they see, and what can they do? How can they self-educate themselves before they're calling you as well? And keep in mind, if you're driving traffic to your website, and if you are an NBGO Elite member of National Brokerage, you can have a quoting tool out there that is second to none. It rivals nobody, because right now we have kind of taken the pain points out of quote engines, and it's nothing elaborate when you see it, but it makes it really easy for a client to do a little self-education on, if they're applying, what rate class do I quote? Well, it's got tools to help out with that. Hey, I don't even know what face amount I should be looking at. They can go to your site if you have the quote engine on there, self-educate, and then when they're talking to you, now you're beyond, hey, I'm now looking for life insurance. You're into the conversation of, I'm fine-tuning the face amount, and hey, I really don't know if I'm more of a term person or a permanent person. Saw a little clip on it, but I'm still confused, and I don't know which one's best suited for me. So now you're talking to a client that has a background, has a little bit of education to life insurance, and you're beyond that first, hey, let's talk about your need and what you're going on there. So it's a nice step to get your clients to self-educate and bring you a quote-unquote more qualified lead, if you will. Informational, just to simply, like Mike had hit upon, to simply provide information, whether it be about your business, your industry, or other important topics that you want to hit upon within a targeted audience. If you do specialize on something, I think it's a great opportunity for you to state what you're specializing in. Otherwise, it's going to be the best kept secret. People's perceptions is reality, and they're not going to know what you actually do. I do actually say as well, it's an opportunity, like Mike had kind of hit it on the Instagram, to be a little, like, soften the approach. Oftentimes, who is the target audience? I mean, we have that as a comment here, and oftentimes we think of the actual person that wrote the application or that we did the application with. So let's say, for example, I'm dealing with a business owner, and he's a 50-year-old gentleman, owns his company, he's doing fine. He doesn't really feel like he needs a key man coverage or a buy-sell or anything of that nature because he's healthy and doesn't have any other risks. Well, what does his wife think about that? So if his wife is part of the audience and the target audience that you want to be attacking as well, because what if his wife's online and saw, oh my gosh, I just saw a horror story of a person that passed away, their family has nothing now, and because they didn't have life insurance. That she's probably going to go online and try to see, who's available. I knew, Mike Toy did some PNC for him. I wonder if Mike does life insurance. Well, she might take a look at it. And if there's no information on life insurance, she might not even give him a call or give him an opportunity. She might look down the road for the next person out there, and she's going to be an influencer in that family, obviously, to, hey, you need coverage, and I want you to take a look at this. Plus, when you're having people look at, whatever form they're looking at, it's kind of nice to put the human approach out there a little bit. Is, hey, I'm married, I've got 2 kids, I love hiking. I know that sounds corny, but it draws, hey, I like hiking too. Hey, I'm married as well, or what have you. It draws some type of lineage between your customer and you. So basically they feel, okay, good, this is good. This is the type of person I want to do business with, and they may not have even really spoken to you much at that particular point. So again, relatable things are going to be nice and attractive to a lot of clients that have similar needs, similar aspirations, and obviously similar backgrounds. Maybe they're, like I mentioned, on the married with family. It does add a little bit of something to it. And obviously, the last but not least is the online business card. Primarily focused to giving your audience, a way to verify who you are and what you do. All the detailed information, sales activity should then be pointed towards contacting me. It's basically giving you your contact information. But again, driving attention to all the different avenues that you might be able to accommodate. If you're focused on property casualty, they may not think of you as the life insurance person or the annuity person. Whereas if you're working with National Brokerage, you have resources for both of those. So you don't need to be the wily expert. You just need to have the door open and have the opportunity. And together we will design and help out that client, whether it be life insurance, annuities, life settlements, and more diverse premium financing cases. You have a bunch of opportunities, but if they don't know that you do it, they might look elsewhere for the resource because they know you as the P&C person. Therefore, they're looking down the street for everything else. One thing about go Google yourself. I think this is a valuable one. Mike generated a great deal of these slides today, and I actually Googled myself. So I'm the guilty party here, and it was interesting to me. It told a semi-accurate story. I have a LinkedIn page. I have some other stuff, so it had some of the detail there. But one of the sites I went to, it had dated information. It had I owned XYZ car, and it's a 1995 car, and I also own this truck. I have some rental properties. It had the rental properties named by address, and that was pretty accurate. But then it had my personal home at a really, really, really low amount. So I'm just thinking, gosh, if a person was going to do, like, let's say, for example, money management with me, or they're going to do investing with me, and they looked at that, they'd say, good Lord, Greg's not successful even by himself. I'm not going to do business with this guy. He can't even keep himself going very well. It was a very eclectic story that this site was telling. And then it had a friends list, listed pictures, names of these people, about 20 different people that are quote unquote my friends. I don't know who any of those people are. So it had segments of factual information that gave it some credibility, a little dated, but some credibility, and then stuff that I don't even know where they got it. So again, it's one of those things that if you're not putting out the story, someone else might be putting the story out for you. So you want to be proactive and make sure that you're putting the best foot forward for your client.
Greg, if I can butt in for 1 sec, excuse me, I just want to add one piece to that too. I did the same thing recently. I just Googled myself out there, and it turns out there is, believe it or not, another Mike Toy in Boise, Idaho. And Mike Toy's got a different story than me, and the two stories mixed together on a lot of sites. So it helped me sort of, I guess, guide my story a little better just from knowing that. So just wanted to add that.
No, it's great. No, it's a good self-awareness. Take a look what's out there and also correct it. You want to have the proper story, whatever your story is. There's no one better than yourself to tell it. So whether you do or do not use social media for a purpose, most of the world does. So if you don't have a presence online, get one. And because you need to tell your own story and not have somebody else tell it. You never get a chance to tell your story to someone, who looks for you, doesn't find anything about you, and then simply moves on to the next option. I think that's a great comment because I think it happens quite a bit, and you'll never know about it. And that's one of the things. It's the sale that you missed out on. You never even knew you had the opportunity to. And again, this is a way for you to get not only in front of the clients that you already know maybe a little bit, but also their families, their spouses, and generate more interest to not only what you've sold or done with them in the past, but what you could possibly do in the future.
All right. So, dealing with negative reviews. This one I put on there. This one can be tricky. There's no silver bullet method to doing this, but there are some rules of thumb, almost universally accepted. So, let's say someone out there for whatever reason, puts a negative review on there, a negative comment, or some kind of review about how terrible you are, regardless of how ridiculous it might be, or whether or not they've even got the right person. It could be about anything. I think we've all seen those, maybe like an eBay review where someone says, "Oh, I got this item and it didn't have X." And the guy responds with, "Well, dummy, look at this description. It says right there, it doesn't have X." Even though he's correct in saying that, it kind of gives a bad taste in your mouth. It's like, oh, that's kind of a terrible way to handle that. So there are right and wrong ways to handle negative reviews. I'm going to go over a couple of the rules of thumb here. Number one, do not respond emotionally. And if that means not responding immediately, then just wait, calm down, then respond. Because it can get you a little fired up. When you see an unjust comment about yourself or review, it can get you a little fired up, a little bit offended. Don't respond right away. And if you do, don't respond with an emotional response. So sounds kind of obvious, but still, we've all done it or seen it. Number two, don't blow it off publicly. Don't just wave it off like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, or this is insignificant. Don't do that, because that also kind of says that you're not taking people seriously, or you're not going to handle customer complaints seriously. And so a person might look at that and say, what if I have a bad experience? Oh, I've seen this kind of thing before. I can see that happening. And then they see your response, they go, no, I'll move on. So don't do that, and don't ignore it, because sometimes ignoring a bad comment or a review, this one take with a grain of salt, because there are some they're so off into left field that it's not worth the response. If you've got 100 positives and this one really oddball negative, maybe in a case like that, you don't want to give it a lot of attention. But for the most part, you don't want to ignore it. You want to have some type of response, even if it's, I'm really sorry to hear that you had that kind of experience. Please let me reach out to you so we can talk about this.
Hey, Mike, can I ask a question to you? And
Yep.
I apologize for blindsiding you with this one. But, how often do they have to check it? If I'm not a person that's done this before, how often do I have to check for my comment?
I would say a couple things. One, you can have social media, pretty much any of these platforms, you can have them alert you when you get a comment. The downside is that it will alert you for every comment, then positive and negative, which doesn't hurt. Just glance at it once in a while. Otherwise, I would say if this is a new thing that you're doing and you're sort of getting it off the ground, I would check it maybe once a month. You don't have to go super crazy and look at it all day, every day. I know when you're new at it, it's going to be, you're probably going to look at it more often because you're curious about this new thing you just built. But for the most part, just as far as maintenance goes, check it once a month just to be certain, that everything looks good. Yeah. So, okay. Some things to do when you receive a negative comment or review. Number one, validate the comment. Don't, like I said earlier, don't blow it off or ignore it. Validate it as if it is a valid thing to say. That does a couple things. One, it shows that you do take these things seriously. And number two, it shows that it kind of shows how you're going to deal with things if they happen to someone else. So, and in a way, it sort of isolates that negative comment a little bit by contrast, because this guy who just, maybe typed out a rant about you, that might look one way until you handle it with, some validation. And now all of a sudden, by contrast, it makes them look silly. And that's not your goal. You don't want to make people look silly, but you do want to protect your reputation. And if in doing that, it kind of like isolates a negative review, then so be it. That's what you have to do. So validate them. Number two, definitely encourage whoever this person or persons is leaving the bad comments to take the fight out of the public view. You want to get them to contact you or allow you to contact them so that you can talk to them one-on-one. Because chances are, if you can talk to them one-on-one, you can probably resolve whatever this issue is, especially if it is one of those kind of oddball out of left field comments where someone just got emotional and typed out big rants about you. So number two was encourage the person to speak with you directly. And ways you can do that, just some canned responses. I hate to use that term because you don't want to sound canned. You don't want it to sound like an automated message like, "Thank you for your your review. We will take this seriously and contact you immediately. You don't want to sound like that. You want to sound personal. But you can say something along the lines of, I'm really sorry that you had this kind of experience. What's a good time for me to call you? I want to resolve this right away, regardless of what it's about. That, again, just to underscore everything else, it shows the audience, whoever it might be that's looking at this, that you are going to address any concern that comes up. So that's something you want to do. And then last but not least, and maybe this should have actually been first, is always, always, always like and comment and thank the good positive reviews, because it encourages people to do so. It's always nice when you go to somebody's page and you say something and they acknowledge that. You know, it feels good to be acknowledged, especially if it was something that they didn't have to do, that they did it, you know, for your sake, or, you know, because they did have a good experience. So be sure to like that comment and thank them for it. So that also tells a story to everybody else who goes to your page to check you out.
You know, and if I could add to that, you know, just real quickly, we've had a personal situation that has nothing to do with social media, but it has to do with, I had a bad situation with a case where, quite frankly, National Brokerage, just years ago, we screwed up on a case, and I was talking to the agent, and we basically owned it. We called the agent forthcoming, just said, hey, we dropped the case, and what we did, we didn't look at a case for 7 days. That's dropping it in our world a great deal, because we look at our cases quite a bit. And so the agent, what he had stated, he's like, hey, you know what? He goes, I appreciate you letting me know. And I appreciate you owning it. And quite frankly, it's a person that we still have a business relationship with now. And after the conversation, he goes, you know what? I'm going to do more business with you. And I started laughing, because I was like, why? I just ratted ourselves out that we dropped the ball on you. He goes, most people wouldn't state that, because they wouldn't own it like that. He goes, and you called forthcoming, let me know. He goes, and it's rectified. He goes, you guys have already rectified it. So when you're responding back to a quote unquote negative review, it's an opportunity to shine in front of other people as well. So it's not to me, the negatives, you know, you can make a positive, you know, just by handling it the proper way, be forthcoming, be honest. And if you did screw it up, hey, we did, but this is what we did after we found out. Because you know what? Everybody in every industry screwed up something at one point in time. So, I mean, honestly, that's just my personal standpoint to that. I think you could gain a lot of traction by having a good comment back, even if a person's comment is, you know, let's say, for example, it is substantiated. But if you're like, hey, this is what we did, you're right. We dropped this, but this is what we did to correct it. I called you 4 times, and, you know, I apologize for the bad experience, but you know what? We pride ourselves in correcting it for the future, so we're not making a mistake here, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, we did a quick response. That type of stuff a client will gravitate to, like, you know, a positive or a negative comment of, good grief, they did all that for me. I wouldn't be that upset. And now a lot of clients are going to say, I like this person. They're honest. They own it. And you know what? Because they're honest, I'm going to do business with them, because now I can trust them. So there's, you know, a lot of positives that can come from a quote unquote negative.
I would agree with that, and that's a good summary. Thanks, Greg. I would agree with the fact that any negative, I know it sounds kind of, you know, sounds like a meme that you would see somewhere, but truth is, any negative can be turned into a positive. So you don't, it's not to say you want to have a whole bunch of negative reviews out there to turn into positives, but it, you know, any negative review that you get can be turned into a positive. So I'm going to move on here to the next slide. Where to start? So we understand now what social media is in a nutshell. We understand why it's important to have for all the reasons stated earlier. So what's next? What do you do? Number one, just create the account. All the platforms mentioned are free. You can go online or download the app for Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, whatever, and create the account for free. So if you're, let's say you're going to start with Facebook. Let's use them as an example. You just go to Facebook, click on create account, start by putting a picture. It could be your company's logo or whatever you'd like to have. A real quick bio about who you are and what you do. Doesn't have to be super long, maybe a paragraph. And then put your contact information. Boom, you're started now. So you've got something out there. That whole process might take, you know, 5 or 10 minutes. So that's how you start. You just go and register for the account. You can do that with any or all of the accounts mentioned. And there are more than I mentioned here too, but those are just some of the shoulds and must-haves. Next thing you do is invite people to follow you. You want to go and
add your friends and your family and your contact list. Each of these platforms, when you create an account, it's going to ask you, would you like to allow us to send an invite to your contact list? Or do you want to upload your contact list and choose who you want to send an invite to? I would encourage you to do so. It's an easy way to do it because, using Facebook as an example, you upload your contact list, allowing Facebook to see it. It's going to show you all the people who are already on Facebook, and you can just go through and add them one by one, or just add them all at once. It's really easy to do. You'll see how it works when you create a site, but I would encourage you to do that. At the very least, if you're not comfortable allowing Facebook or YouTube to see your contact list, once you get your sites created, we can help you with this part. Send an email to your contact list and invite them to follow you on social media. You can do that right through the OES system, which is free. We provide that for all of our agents. So if you don't have one yet, get with your rep here or give us a call. We'll set you up with an OES account. We'll just add your contact list in there. That way these social media platforms don't have your contact list. And then you can control exactly what your message is. You can put a quick blurb about, please follow me on my new social media pages. Here's a link to my Facebook. Here's a link to my Instagram. Here's a link to my LinkedIn. So that's something that you can do there. Going to move on here. All right, just to recap. Number one, control your reputation online. Do not let the internet control it for you, as stated earlier. That's what it is in a nutshell. If you don't have a presence online will make a presence for you, and it won't be the story that you would want to tell. So control your destiny. Do not let destiny control you. Number two, give yourself legitimacy. Just start, if you're not sure still on what you want your message to be, first just decide which of the three types you want to be. Do you want to be informational? Do you want it to be a source where you can just put information out for your audience? Or two, do you want to generate sales, which ultimately that is what we all want to do. You're not going to do that right out of the gates though. Or three, do you simply just want to have an online business card so when someone says, do you have a Facebook page? You can say, I sure do. Here it is. And they can go and check you out, and that's about all they're going to get. You don't have to do a lot of high maintenance work to it like you might think. It's just an online business card for people to verify that you are online and that you are legitimate. Another bullet point here, create the profiles and then send the invitation out to your list to follow you and add you. And again, just a reminder, we can help you with sending out that invite for everyone to follow you. We have templates that are easy to load. You can just add your list, click template, click send. That's about it. And number four, add national brokerage to all your social media. Because we post content for you a lot that we don't post it on your behalf. We just post it out there on our pages, and then you can share it. We'll post pieces on buy-sell agreements or why you should have insurance or insurance for millennials, all kinds of different topics. So add national brokerage to all your social media. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. So go and add us. If you're not sure or can't find us, just give us a call and we'll help you find it. The easiest way to find us is just whatever platform you're on, just search national brokerage. There are a few of them out there, but we tag ourselves in a lot of these things. So most likely we'll be the number one on the list when you search for us. So definitely add national brokerage. And in conclusion, just want to say thanks to everybody for tuning in today. There are going to be some follow-up webcasts about some of the bullet points we talked about here. We're going to do a deeper dive into some of these things. Like we're going to do a deep dive into how you should do a Facebook page or how you should do a sales page. Be on the lookout soon for a webcast on Indigo Elite. Indigo Elite, just to recap on that, is an exportable quote engine that you can embed into your site or your Facebook page or wherever so your clients can go and run quotes on themselves. And when they do, you're alerted that you have a new lead. So be on the lookout soon for an Indigo Elite webcast and some other webcasts about social media. If you have any questions about anything here, you can either type them into the question box or you can just get with your rep and we can answer them with you one-on-one, whatever you're more comfortable with. So let's see if I've got any questions here. One question: does National Brokerage offer this service? We don't offer, we don't create the Facebook page or the YouTube page for you at this point. There are things that we can do for you though once you have it created, because it's in everybody's interest for you to be successful. We want you to be successful. So we don't create the pages, if that's what you mean, but we can help you with all of your marketing and all kinds of sales tips and informational tips. So that much we do. See if we've got any other questions here. Looks like that's about it. Okay, everybody. Well, hey, thanks again for joining us today. If you haven't added us yet, please go add us. If you have any questions, give us a call at 800-377-6344. Hope everybody has a good day. Thanks a lot.